Welcome to another episode of Let's Smoke About It with your host, Captain Daddy.
Nookie Pass.
And the answer to your question is probably.
Probably.
I might just have to sit like this for a while because I've gotten this mic stand kind of just tucked in right here
It's
at the
like,
edge of
yeah,
the couch.
it's right. Yeah, right.
To where I
on
got
side
the
of
counterbalance
couch.
because I have this leaning so far forward so I don't have to move it, but the counterbalance is just wedged in right here.
It definitely looks more comfortable like, initially, but I was just thinking long term. I don't know if I would even want to sit like that for that extended period of time.
We'll find out.
We'll cross that bridge when we get
Yeah,
there.
because right now I'm pretty cozy. Like if I
Okay,
things have changed now.
That's fair.
Okay, I could be here for a hot minute. Problem is, everything on that table's out of my reach. Thanks, man.
That being said, we did upload a couple new videos over the weekend of some gameplay.
Yeah, Make Strong uploaded. TryHards got a new series, sub-series on the TryHards called Hard with Friends. 2 episodes out. Go check it out. It's pretty sweet.
It's pretty fun. We were playing Phasmophobia. I know it's something that we've talked about on the show prior. And I can't say enough about this game, especially with some of the newer things that they're going to start coming out with and some hints and whispers and things.
Spooky stuff.
The game's already scary enough. There's definitely no reason for it to get any worse.
I mean, it could get worse. I would like it to get worse.
Oh, no, I would
Okay,
like
worse in terms of, like, actually fearful.
Exactly.
Not worse in as in gameplay.
Maintaining the stride that they've already accomplished, because that shit is creepy.
Oh, yeah. Ooh, maybe we got to turn this a little. There we go.
My
Just crank this bitch.
dad watched, both of my parents watched Cabin in the Woods last night.
Yeah?
Yeah. So my mom had read a book called Cabin in the Woods, and she thought that this movie was based off of that.
Okay.
I guess it's a different book entirely.
Just named similar.
Yeah. And that's the thing is I don't even know if the Cabin in the Woods, like with Chris Hemsworth and all the creatures, I don't think that one is based off a book. I think that, to my knowledge, I'm speaking out of misinformation, but to my knowledge, it was just just the idea of how all the slasher-esque movies follow like a particular style.
Okay.
That's what that movie was exploiting. It was almost a
It's following the same stuff that you know, and it's almost
it's a satire.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Making fun of those cliches.
Mm-hmm.
The slasher cliches.
Like I don't know if you've ever seen the movie or if I've ever talked to you about it. It's called They Came Together. 2 main characters are Paul Rudd and Amy Poehler.
No.
And they're at a dinner retelling like their romantic comedy story with like Bill Hader and I think the girl who plays Erin, the receptionist in the second part of The Office.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Never seen The Office. Don't shame me.
I usually stop it at a certain point. Like now, whenever I get to like Jim and Pam's wedding, I'm just like, that's my season finale. I'm just gonna end it on that high note.
Does it just kind of go downhill from there?
Well, I've seen up to a little bit past after they've had their baby.
Oh, they have a kid?
Yeah.
Or they have some children together.
But once it starts diving into like what I refer to as the second part where like a whole bunch of shit starts changing, that's when I kind of fall off and it's harder for me to remain interested. I mean, I understand the need to bring in other like actors to kind of keep and add a different dynamic and how people would respond to each other. Because after so many seasons of them all essentially like responding to each other in a way that they do with actors that, at least to my knowledge, I don't know who any of like the other additional like sub actors are, like people's assistants. Or,
I'm not that into their names.
Yeah, well, and I don't know if they. I'm obviously impartial to the main cast, and then there's characters like Idris Elba that come in for a brief while, and I know about them. Oh my goodness, you got snow all over you, doggo.
Oh no.
Oh goodness.
Is it doing the thing with the snow coming down
outside?
I can't see from my position.
Like horrible, but it's snowing right now. Which is
gross.
Good because I have been waiting
For snow?
I haven't personally seen any of the snow. I've always been asleep when it's been snowing here, and it's usually gone by
the time you're out and doing stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
It's melted, and you're like, well, that was wasted.
Yep.
Wasted snow.
And and I didn't get to see it. So this is actually the first like
Snow of the
that
season.
that I've been a part of.
Well, it's just gonna get worse because it's only December.
I know. We still got what up until March.
And being up in that northern
April?
hemisphere, making it real cold.
Yeah.
Because you know, high or thinner air and whatnot.
Yeah, Colorado would not be fun. Although I will say,
I don't think
when I drove
Washington
to Colorado,
would be fun either.
When you drive down the side of Utah, as opposed to going up into Wyoming and then down in through the northern part of
So
Colorado.
now you're talking about going into Colorado from Utah?
Yeah.
So you go through
So you
Grand Junction and all that jazz?
Yeah, you go south and then you drive by all like the snowboarding mountains and all that.
Oh, it's
by,
super
Aspen
sweet.
Yeah, so that's the thing. Me and a friend went for a concert in Denver. Whole thing with the tickets, they sold out for that show, but there was a show the night before in Salt Lake, and we're like, well, we're definitely not just going to make it to Denver in one like quick day trip. That's a 16-hour
Yeah,
drive.
that's a long... I got to cross one whole state.
So we stopped in Salt Lake. We saw the concert. It was badass. The fact that they go to Salt Lake all the time, they really put out like an amazing show for the Salt Lake.
Made it worth
not
their
that
time.
They wouldn't for Denver, but like Salt Lake, knowing that there's another badass venue that you could easily get to within 6 hours, you could make like a whole day of it.
Well, yeah, that's just...
I've done that before.
I mean, some bands are like that where like, I don't want to give it all my all at this place because it kind of sucks.
Well, and I believe we've talked about this before too, about bands like we have on a previous episode of the podcast. We have talked about bands like when they come to the city that we're in, where they don't travel as much,
bypass it sometimes.
Well, yeah, they bypass it and come like once every couple of years, which is fine. But when they do come, it's you'd usually want to like put on the best show you could, so like play more of your hits.
Yeah.
But then you go out of your way to like Portland, for example, and it's that's what I was getting to. I've done that. I had a work meeting at 7 a.m. and a Thy Art Is Murder show in Portland the night before. And I'm like, this is the only opportunity that I have had to see them since I became a fan. And so I was like, I bought a ticket for me and my buddy, and then for some reason my buddy couldn't go, and I asked around work. And then there was this other metalhead that got hired at the same time as me. And him and I had, like, we'd seen each other throughout life. Like,
right.
We knew who each other
passing,
were. Yeah. Like,
really good acquaintances.
Yeah. And so we drove.
Just drove to Portland? You're like, F it.
We just drove to
Portland.
You ready? Yep. And we
see that thing
drove all day to Portland. We drove the entirety of Saturday up to Portland, saw the concert, and then turned around and drove back.
Ugh.
And you know what was frustrating is everything that was in that meeting, it was a store meeting, so it was like everybody in the building has to be here.
Yeah.
Because they were unveiling like
whole damn company's there pretty much.
Well, yeah, they were unveiling like a new service. And but honestly, the amount of time that they had to sit there and explain and like role play with people to like make sure they got it, way too much.
Role play? Are we children?
Well, that's,
like setting up the scenarios.
That's how they teach you. Yeah. Imagine I'm, Mr. So-and-so, I'm looking for this. Like, my needs are this and this.
Yeah.
And then you would apply it to them.
You break it down.
Yeah.
Rough. Long-ass drive.
So it was a long drive, and the fact, like, if I had done that one-on-one with, like, my supervisor or even, like, my manager at that time, I'm pretty sure that I could have, like, picked that up in, like, maybe 10 or 15 minutes. No problem.
Yeah.
As opposed to going out of my way to spend, like, an hour and a half before shift. And...
Well, it's like, do you really need to make a meeting this big about it? Is it not something that...
That's the thing, is because it was such a massive... It couldn't be like, hey, we had spotty training from certain departments or certain people, don't get it. So we need everybody here for an allotted amount of time and given the exact same criteria to make sure that we do a corporate checklist.
Puts them all on the same page.
Yeah.
It's like, we're going to start the book together so we can finish it together.
Yep.
But so far, though.
I really enjoyed that job. I say a lot of things about it, but overall, that was a great job. My management was pretty great for the most part.
Hell yeah.
They just...
Acquired a lot.
They asked an absolute lot. But it is what it is.
I mean, sometimes work does that. It's like, yeah, we're going to just keep demanding, and I hope you're cool with it. And then at one point, you're just like, okay, I kind of want to break. This is a lot right now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm out.
A little bit.
Just back it. Ease off that pedal.
Yeah, and I may have a jaded view of it, but
Well, you just went through it. It's an experience now.
yeah,
a personal
I'm
experience.
pretty sure there's details that I'm leaving out that don't exactly come to.
Who's gonna fact check you? Who's gonna be like, hey, this guy fucking lied?
I don't know.
I'm gonna
You
go
never know.
Put his knees in. Just kidding.
You work in a store full of smart technology. I'm bound to assume that there were at least 6 machines that could hear me and record my voice and what I was talking about at that point in time.
Hello, wiretap. Can you tell me the best recipe for grilled cheese?
Doo-doo.
I see a bunch of old newspaper clippings and shit of like in the 50s and 60s talking about the fear of government tapping your house.
Mm-hmm.
Fast forward to 2020, your phones do it. You got all these
That's
Alexa and
it's
shit
just
like that.
I don't understand why people would be closer to assume that things like maybe Nest or some other type
Ring?
of like what?
Like Ring?
Yeah, little something like that. You know, something that's not super necessity, but you know, would assume that somebody would break into that and get your information. It's like no.
Yeah, no. Shit's kind of, it's a little bit stronger than you may think.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like also another thing too is that on a meme binge because my meme book,
Runneth dry.
when you were a kid, your parents telling you don't believe everything you see.
Oh yeah.
Or you hear, and then you're telling your parents nowadays don't believe everything you read on the internet.
Exactly. It's that.
It's that
ultimate
same
template.
thing. It's just
Well, and
roles are reversed.
We grew up in the generation like right before all this stuff like really started happening.
yeah. We were at the
Like
birth of
we were at the birth of
convenience.
competent internet.
well,
I'll say
convenient
that.
internet.
Yeah.
Like at the palm of your hand, you can know anything. in an
But
instant.
I'm even saying competent. Like when you go
Oh,
on the
yeah.
computer, you don't have to sit there and wait. Like DSL was considered competent internet for the most part.
Yeah. And that was
Like-
still a pain in the ass to operate.
Oh God, get me started. The landline.
Sounds like a bunch of robots fucking in my computer.
Yeah, it's awful.
That's where
You
dubstep
couldn't-
came from.
Seriously, some kids just sat there and just listened to DSL like constantly while torrenting shit online.
Yeah, I was gonna say they were always online, so they had to
That's
constantly
how
listen to
Skrillex was born. That's why he's the oldest one.
that. He was a big fan of DSL, and he's just like, you know what?
Yeah.
I'm gonna make a genre about it.
He's just taking samples of DSL, and that's how he started. He just super bassed the shit out
Yeah,
of
it's
everything.
anytime he connects, he just records that sound. He's like, it's a different sound every time I connect to the
I
interweb.
was gonna say those are his
AOL.
songs. Like he doesn't actually do any mixing. He just records the DSL.
So the song Nice Kids and Scary Sprites or whatever, it's just a really long connection to the internet.
Yeah.
Someone was using the phone.
Yeah, the whole yeah, and that was the worst part too.
Get off the phone, Mom, I'm trying to connect to the internet.
But you know what's funny? When we got stuck up in that godforsaken town that only had 2 fucking payphones and no level of service, I like who has landlines in 2018, 2019?
Yeah, who
Like,
uses landline? And also,
I only know 2 people that still currently have their landlines, and I actually have one of their phone numbers in my phone to make sure that, like, if anything does happen and I have the ability to get to a payphone, I can at least call my grandma.
well, I guess I understand the concept of a landline in today's time because everyone fucking always constantly calling you on your cell phone and whatnot. So if you can just have like a throwaway phone, like your landline, you can just kind of leave that disconnected in a way. No, I don't know. But just kind of like a less, if you have a busy life and people always have to call you, you can at least call this phone, not my personal phone, so you're not blowing my shit up. If you
Oh,
need
in
to get
terms of
hold
like a business?
Yeah.
Yeah, that definitely makes way more sense because you wouldn't want to sit there and have to listen to a full mailbox of business-related
Clients
things,
or
yeah.
whatever calling you.
You know, you'd rather have the ability to just sit there and play it back, you know, over a machine, write down the information without needing to put. Well, I mean, I guess that's speakerphone though too.
Yeah, I guess.
But it makes sense more in terms of like the privacy. Like when you pull out your personal phone, that's why a lot of business professionals are given 2 phones. One
Yeah.
for all their business-related shit, like where it's
This
just
is my
blowing
business
up,
cell.
Yeah, group text of like the information that needs to be passed through.
Massive emails
Yeah,
sent through it, like
just
my BlackBerry
crazy,
here.
Yeah, and then God only knows how many individual emails sent between those people, like just nuts.
It's definitely moved
Yeah.
pretty goddamn quick because
But I guess I can really see why you wouldn't want that cell phone to be blown up that way.
oh, it'd be obnoxious.
It
Plus,
would be pretty bad. I mean,
your phone would always be dead too. Like,
in a way, I've kind of been a part of that, as a part of a 16-man team that could only really trade like shifts with each other.
oh yeah,
So we'd always, that one was always.
That's how we
grabs
contacted
to-
was a
yeah.
group text because it's just and it's easier sometimes. Just
Yeah.
I'm gonna send one message rather than one message 15 different times. Because now it's just obnoxious for
Although
me.
that was me, I was the one that would word each text individually to like try and get the most.
Make it sound more personal.
Yeah.
Like you're talking to
Just be
them
like,
individually.
Hey man, how are you?
Would it be cool if you cover this shift? I got like my
throwing-
butthole to go
maybe
look
throwing
at.
something personal. Just be like, hey man, how
You
how's your
wasabi,
mom?"
my guy. Open it up with that.
Wasabi, I didn't know the wasabi, dude. At that point, I only learned that recently.
I like that. I like saying the wasabi thing. It's
Wasabi,
wasabi, dude. It's great. You use memes ironically so much that it becomes part of your life and you don't know how to stop.
Yep.
That's where
Eventually
I'm
it just
at.
becomes part of the vocabulary, and you're just doomed to repeat.
And
I
that's
will
why I
say-
understand how trends become more of a thing because you do it hating on it, and then it's like, now I can't stop.
Exactly.
Help me.
And then you're like, well, I might as well like actually learn how to do it, and then you're
Do
like,
it
hey,
properly.
maybe I'm halfway decent at it, and that's the trend of TikTok.
You can't-
It's just like, hey, look at this person who's halfway decent at this trend that's popping up right now for 10 seconds.
And that's how we have
And
TikTok.
that's fucking it. I don't have TikTok.
I think you're right about that. I don't.
It's not something that I really. Well, it was the same thing with fidget spinners. Fidget spinners were cool for, like, they were actually like cool, and people used them for like maybe 2 or 3 months. But then things like YouTube trends and all that stuff kept it going for like another almost 2 or 3 years. It's like just stop with the fidget spinner stuff.
It's for those kids. It's for ADHD kids who don't know how to sit still.
yeah, it's for me. No, I'm kidding.
It's for people like me, but I
Yeah.
call bullshit because it doesn't work like that.
It really doesn't.
Again,
Can
that's only
say
for
that-
a moment of time.
I can say that there have been times, like when I'm selling, and in order to keep focused, I'll have like a pen or something that
Oh,
I'll
just-
either like be tapping or like flipping between my fingers, like off to the side where they can't see, and just sitting there flipping it
Oh,
around.
kind of like a drumstick, doing a drumstick
Yeah.
twirl.
And like that, I would say that helped me like actually zero in on the person I was talking to, rather than if I was just sitting there like not moving. I am way more inclined to like start looking around the room for like things, especially if it's somewhere that I've never been, like just taking in the details of what it is.
Yeah.
Whoa. It's just, like class was always really hard because they'd tell me to sit still, like stop moving around.
Sit still
I'm
and
like,
pay attention to this board as
yeah,
I.
and then I'm like, okay, well now I'm gonna look at every poster. I'm gonna read what you have thrown on
This
the
is-
board right now.
This
like
is why you
that.
decorate the classroom for people like me, so I can just fucking look
You
around
just
and everything.
Look around.
Yeah, I was that same way. That's when they're like, we should go see if he's got something. Because it was in middle school, like 7th grade. Grades were failing hard because I couldn't pay attention, couldn't sit still.
I was that way all the way. Like 6th grade was when they called it
They're like,
out on me.
"There's
But,
something
like,
wrong with this
all
kid."
all the way up until that point. Like I was just a weird kid.
Just
But
struggling.
because of how quickly I was able to absorb the information, and because it was all new and there was no logical explanation as to why any of this stuff couldn't be true, especially at that age, you're just, you're ready to absorb that information so quickly that you're ready to move on to the next thing, and you just want to know more, while it's taking everybody else like traditionally a little bit longer to like truly figure it out and absorb it.
Right.
And I think that that's where I failed, is I hit that plateau like 5th and 6th grade.
Your brain was
And
having a
then-
hard time of just absorbing it.
Well, it was rapid. That's the brain that I used to read massive like books with in weeks time.
I'm reading like 11th grade books right
in 6th
here.
grade, we had to do a biography project where we had to read a biography and pick like 3 out of like 11 different projects.
Whoa.
And I read
This is in middle school?
Yeah, and I read a biography on Edgar Allan Poe.
Oh, hell
and
yeah.
it was massive.
Thick ass
And
boy.
and so I did. And this was one of those things where like you can do more projects for like extra credit if your grade is like getting kind of low. I did almost all of them.
Yeah.
Except for the ones that like didn't really make sense. But I made a giant billboard. Like I did a whole essay. I did this. It was.
That's like doing the
nuts.
science fairs are always the best thing in the world. Was bad at science, but when the science fair came up, went ham.
That's your opportunity. I remember one of mine was...
I'm good at science. Watch this.
I just remember one of mine was I put chicken bones that weren't even fully cleaned off. Like, because we didn't... It was our first time hearing about it, and basically what happens is if you leave it in there over a certain amount of time, they basically become like rubber.
The bones do?
Colorless, yeah. But because we left a bunch of like the fat and seasoning scrap type stuff on, it was also dissolving. And at that point, I'm so confused. all the pointing.
Yeah. Yes. You were right the first time.
Okay, I was like, this is
Yeah.
fucking charade.
I was totally lost it because I was trying to pay attention to what you were pointing at.
Rubber chicken bones.
Yes, and that's the rubber chicken. That was the whole thing. It smelled horrible. Anytime you even remotely open the lid.
So did you ever clean your desks in like elementary school
God,
at the end of the school year?
Yeah. Well, and even before that, it was like part of an organizational thing. Like once every like couple months, if it was getting bad, like you do it.
Yeah, no, we only did it at the end of the school year. It's like, okay, you'll be done tomorrow. Clean your desks. Me being an idiot, for some reason, clicked this shaving cream that we used to wipe on the desk because we wiped it off. This is not shaving cream. This is whipping cream.
Ooh, boy.
Nice. Disgusting, and then kind of vomited on that desk. Luckily, I had that shaving cream to clean it back up. But for some reason, that's what that reminded me of. I don't know. It just came out of nowhere. It's like, you ever... Because something smelling bad. Smelled the shaving cream. Thought this was whipped cream. Tasted it. Oh, man. No, it's not at all what that is.
I usually, at least when it comes to food, I like inadvertently always had like if something looks like something, like you have to double check what it is. Just to make sure that it's something that you want to ingest.
You look at it, you scoop it, you look at it.
Yeah.
You look at it again, smell it. Okay, I'll eat it.
Yeah, because it's like you could pick up something at like a buffet, right?
Yeah.
That you're like probably like it's there, you're putting it on your plate, but you're being half-minded about it. You're not really paying attention to what you put on there.
Mm-hmm. You just grab
and
it.
You go and sit back down and you analyze it a little bit more. You're like, oh, like maybe that's been sitting here too long or something of that nature, so it's not going to be as fresh or as good. Just stuff like that.
I feel like that going to Golden Corral sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
When I'm in there, I'm just grabbing the meat and stuff, and it's like, ooh, that piece of meat's been there for a minute.
Yeah, you pick it up, you're like, hold on.
It's super dry and like kind of burnt. You're like, oh, I was just grabbing.
Yep. Just grabbing it.
That's the scary thing about buffets. It's like, who knows how long it's been out there? Mm-hmm. So if you're not really paying attention.
Well, and that's the thing is, if you find a good one that maintains a steady flow of business like throughout the day.
Mm-hmm. Always
like
fresh items.
Point, yeah, like you'll be in the money, but
don't go to a buffet that's empty. That food's been there for a minute.
It's been there for a hot
That's not fresh food. Sitting on that there thing.
I don't know. Depending, like me and my family love like Chinese buffets. Whenever like other distant family comes to town.
Yeah.
And so we'll go and we'll stay there for who knows how long and just conversate, and like whenever fresh stuff gets brought out, like that's when we go get it. Like we'll look at it, we'll just be like, all right, is that fresh? Like, yeah, that's
you like sitting at the table scouting, waiting until they're bringing stuff out,
taking turns on shifts.
Well, it's healthier that way. It's smarter, and plus it's the way to get the higher quality food.
Mm-hmm.
You want to give a good review.
You want the stuff that just came out, not the stuff that's been sitting for 20 minutes.
Not the week old shrimp that smells like butthole.
You know what's crazy is a lot of them, I don't know about a lot of them, that's kind of a bold statement, will either they'll literally buy McNuggets, like from McDonald's, and they'll just resell them as chicken nuggets as part of the buffet for like kids to eat. Or it's like the ones that technically make the little dinosaurs.
Oh, the Dino Nuggies?
Yeah, but they're not the dinosaurs, they're just the regular like chicken nugget version.
Oh.
Yeah. Or those. And that's what they'll usually pass off as like chicken nuggets. I'm like, are you kidding me?
That's not a chicken nugget.
Well,
Get out of
but
here
my
with your
thing
cheap
is like with the way that you're able to combine flavors as a Asian chef, you really have the opportunity to like make an incredible chicken nugget, if anything. because if you can throw all those flavors together in a sauce for noodles,
Yeah.
you'll be able to, like, you should be able to make a chicken nugget.
Exactly.
Like,
How hard is it to get just white chicken meat and just deep fry it? I don't care. That's still a chicken nugget right there.
yeah, by direct comparison of like the pre-store bought ones.
Well, I'm just saying if you were like wanting to make homemade chicken nuggets
Yeah.
in a way, you
I
just
mean,
get
that's
like
really it.
Yeah,
You
that's
could decorate it with sauce.
Yeah, and that's all it is.
But even then, I bet they could just throw like one or two things even in that seasoning.
Exactly. They
Like,
could make
even the
it
breadcrumbs,
special.
yeah.
But it's like, this is in-home chicken nuggies that it'll only taste like this here because we bred it special. See, that'd be a
I don't
cool.
know.
That'd
I
be a
feel
cool.
Like that'd be great. Let's just do
well,
that.
because it
Let's
would
just
be
get
who doesn't like
traditional-
chicken nuggets?
Seriously.
Like that's a food
one of
item that's
the-
pretty universal to
Yeah.
everybody.
Pretty much wherever, like, no matter where you go, even if you scour the entire menu, they're more than likely going to have something like chicken nuggets or chicken tenders.
Chicken tenders is a big
And,
one.
Yeah, and it's usually 9 times out of 10 that you're going to enjoy them unless they're like undercooked or something. It's really imperative that you guys understand how important like going out and experiencing new movies and new TV shows is. I know on one of the earlier episodes we talked about
So you're coming in here about to like belittle them. You need to watch these.
Well, I'm not being
Not belittling, sorry.
Yeah, not even that, but like I'm not going out of my way to just be like, "Hey, you need to." I'm just like
It's healthy.
because earlier on in one of our early episodes we talked about how we have a hard time like starting new stuff, like new TV shows. We always just fall into the category
The
of
same
what's
old.
comforting.
Yeah.
And not saying I don't still do that, but like going out of my way to like watch things that may not have normally interested me just to get like a broader scope of what's going on in terms of like what Hollywood or whoever independent filmmaker is accepting as a film these days.
Well, yeah, what's coming out? Well, didn't
I
you
mean,
take
obviously
those few
CG.
days to catch up on a bunch of shows?
Yeah, there was a in the next episode I talked about how I watched 5 new movies in the time frame.
Oh, that's
in
right. You
between
did
episodes.
talk about
Yeah.
that. That's right, because we were talking about the Christmas movies. Jeez, that was my brain.
I still haven't seen the entirety of Rudolph this season. I still haven't seen the entirety of Santa Claus Comes to Town this season. I haven't seen.
Have you seen Charlie Brown's Christmas?
Not yet.
Neither have I. Not yet.
I watched everything but the first 30 minutes of Elf. I mean, I've seen Elf enough times that.
So I've just
It's like
never
right
been
when he
that big
gets
of a
to New
fan
York.
of Elf, I guess.
Really?
Like, I enjoy it, but I'm not, like, looking forward to watching it every Christmas season, you know?
That's fair.
Like, certain movies that we were talking about last episode,
yeah.
that's a much
Frickin'
watch.
Dr. Seuss's How the Grinch Stole Christmas.
Yeah, live action and the animated one. They're both great.
The old school animated one.
Yeah.
I am honestly not a big fan of the new one that they came out with Benedict Cumberbatch.
I haven't seen that, actually. I didn't even know that was a thing. It's the Jim Carrey one that's a classic.
Oh, yeah. And you know what's funny is I actually read an article trashing his portrayal of
Jim
the
Carrey's?
Grinch. Yeah. It was like a 20-point article, and I sat there and I was like, I can't tell if this is satirical or not.
Mm-hmm.
Because
I feel like
virtually everything I've ever read on it has been mainly positive.
Yeah. Well, I feel like Jim Carrey would actually do Grinch some justice in Dr. Seuss's eyes in terms of how he acted. Kind of crazy. He's up in a cave.
Well, and especially because one of the bigger arguments was the fact that the original was half an hour.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it wasn't that long.
Yeah, it wasn't that long. It just got to the point and told the story. Whereas the new one is a lot of, and obviously it's centered around the Grinch. Like, you're supposed to understand where he's coming from, so obviously he's going to have a lot of internal things
Yeah.
that he's dealing
He's
with.
got
in
a
his
tiny
cave,
heart.
but, yeah. Down a size and a half. This time, I'll keep it off. But, like,
How do you hate on that?
yeah, there's just, and like giving him a backstory. I thought that was kind of cool.
Okay. Give me like an
Have you not
origin.
Yeah.
No,
they
I
did.
haven't seen the
The new one?
the
Or
newest one.
The old one, Jim Carrey one.
Yeah, no, I've seen that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, I thought you were still talking about the newest
No,
one.
no.
I thought they redid the whole thing. Here's new origin story.
It's
But no, yeah,
it
I like
starts
the
off like early in December.
on Jim Carrey's
new
or
one
the newest
does.
one.
The Jim Carrey one starts like a day before Christmas.
Yeah, because everyone's going crazy
Yeah.
in the mail.
Yeah, it's like 3 or 4 days before.
But in the
Benedict
Benedict Cumberbatch one,
Cumberbatch.
it's like towards the beginning
Huh.
of the month.
Okay.
And as the Who's are ramping up, they're like building of all the Christmas stuff. He gets more and more up.
Upset about it.
Yeah, it's just
How
there's
dare these guys
there's
be
no
jolly?
edge to him, you know. Like they took out they took out the majority of the things that made the Grinch what he was in terms of like being a nasty piece of work, rather
Mhm.
than him just being like a sassy and kind of mean like Green Furry.
So he didn't have like really any characteristics to him.
Not really. He was just pretty much grumpy and like, you know, kind of jumpy. And I will say the
Why?
end was kind of cool.
Yeah.
It gave it a little bit more rather than just a pretty bow tie that they threw on the Jim Carrey one, which is fine. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that ending.
Yeah.
But they, like, he comes back, he apologizes, Fahu Dory. He cuts the piece of the ham and then that's it. Like, in the new one, he gets, like, invited to a dinner and, like, he runs into all of his neighbors that he'd been so mean to the whole time, but he's, like, you know, starting to feel a lot better.
He didn't have names.
It's crazy. Yeah.
I'll have to give that a watch because
I just don't like it. I can't say that it's bad. I'm just not a fan.
well, I don't feel like it was another
all.
movie that didn't need to be made. I guess because what was already out was good.
Wow, I can't remember the year the Jim Carrey one was now.
2007.
No,
It's
2002.
like 1990s.
Really?
Was it the 90s?
We need to find out right now.
Google that shit.
I can't believe I don't know. I'm so upset with myself.
Yeah, 98. That's my guess.
2000.
Oh, 2 years
Nice.
off. I was 7 years off. Now I was
It
2
was
years off.
2002, so we were it was
Oh.
right in the middle.
I was way off. Okay, yeah. See, on a movie that really didn't have any justification to be made.
Yeah. Well, and to think that I believe it was the 60s that the first one came out.
Yeah, because it
Like
was
the
all
little
hand-drawn
old-
animation.
Yeah. And I think that if I'm not mistaken, that was one of the only ones that was made using that artist's like style and story.
Mm-hmm.
Before he died, and then whoever got control of his estate, I'm sure, sold off the rights. That's why they made
Well,
like
even-
Here's a Who and all that.
Even with compared to the original animated one and Jim Carrey's one, the Grinch is similar. In those two, in the way
Still grouchy.
he's grouchy, but he's
Well,
still
yeah,
kind of
personality-wise.
sousy and crazy, like
Yeah.
talking to himself constantly.
The well, in the rhyming that he was able to accomplish.
Oh yeah, that's
Like,
true.
I
It's
just-
a Dr.
I just
Seuss
feel
thing,
like
man.
I feel like the writing for the live action fits so much better comparatively. Like how the narrator talked, how each of the Who's like spoke to each other.
Mm-hmm.
Much closer to like what the animated one was like. Especially Cindy Lou Who. Are you kidding me?
I can't believe she's in a band now.
Isn't that great?
Taylor Momsen.
That's crazy for all that to come back. Because it's like, when I first heard that band, they're like, yeah, you remember Cindy Lou Who from How the Grinch Stole Christmas? She's in a band now. Here's her band. I'm like, hold up. How old was she?
I did the same thing. I was like, are you serious right now? Because I remember her kind of stretching to hit those last notes.
Yeah.
But she's a badass.
Well, and she was what, 12, 13 maybe?
No. I would say she's closer to like 7. She
Oh,
was,
yeah, no,
she
that's-
was young when that movie
So she
was
only
filmed.
like our age.
She's a little bit older than... No, I think you're around our age. Shit, man, I should have been a child actor. Is what it boils down to. Should have been talented in
Man,
more ways. Than...
you got me there.
My shortcomings, they hurt.
So she was born in 93, so she's 5. No, she was 7.
Damn.
She was 7.
Yeah,
I for
She's
whatever reason,
5.
for whatever reason, I thought that it was 1998.
Yeah, so she's literally a year older than me.
Yeah.
What the fuck? See, and that's like watching rookies in the NFL now are younger than me, and I'm like, oh
Dude,
man, I
yeah,
feel so
some of
stupid.
them, like some of the rookies in college basketball are like 19, 20 years old. Like the next phase of superstars have started to emerge, and they are like 23 as like an average. I'm like, you got to be kidding me.
I'm looking at myself like, man,
I
I
used to
could.
play ball, but I was never good.
I would have gone pro if it wasn't for my bum knee.
Yeah, seriously, Uncle Rico, that coach would have put me in. I bet you I can throw a football over them mountains.
Yeah, so the Broncos might pick up Sam Darnold from the Jets if they draft high.
Sam Darnold get Carson Wentz.
No, fuck Carson Wentz.
Dude,
He
Carson
got
Wentz
benched for
needs an
Jason Hurts.
offensive line.
Well, it's true. No, he does not. Actually, that's a dirty lie.
Are you
Carson
serious?
Wentz does not need an offensive line. It may need to be upgraded a little bit, but the offensive line is solid as it is. Carson Wentz needs to do is stop playing hero ball and doing everything himself and actually let his receivers.
He's trying to get it to him.
He
has
no, not
over-
that much though. He's rather to tuck and run than to try to get the ball into tight
Carson
areas.
Wentz.
Carson Wentz. So there's a video I'll have to show you. This guy breaks
please.
it down.
I'm like,
'Cause-
in the gameplay and the highlights that I've seen, I haven't seen that.
This guy breaks it down in a good way because he also talks about his technical like footwork, and I guess he's making like a 3-foot lunge step when he throws, which is bad, I guess, and that's what makes your pass go off center because it goes off of your left throwing foot or opposite of what your throwing hand is.
I got you.
The guy talks pretty good detail about it, and it makes sense when he's talking about it, and then he shows the clips of what he's talking about, and he's doing it. He's playing hero ball. He's not even trying to throw it like out of bounds to just get an incomplete.
He's just trying to get the power behind it, but he's
Yeah,
doing
making it
to
tight.
the point where his accuracy is being affected.
Yeah, and it's being drastically hindered because he's just like, I'm gonna fit
He's
that
just
ball
gonna
in there.
boom. Whereas you watch somebody like the Patty Show, and that dude is so centered and so controlled over his body movement, he gets the ball exactly where it
Now,
needs
who's
to be.
Patty Show?
Patrick Mahomes.
Oh,
I
I've never heard him.
I call him Patty Mahomes. I don't know why.
That one I've heard.
Yeah.
I've just never heard the Patty Show.
I just decided to throw. I didn't want to name drop him because what happens if he gets sued in the future for.
He's gonna
using
come
his
over
name.
here and he's gonna hang
He's
out,
gonna-
and then I'm gonna talk shit to his face
That'd be
just
great.
because we're rival teams.
I was gonna say, and that would be the only reason because you currently this year you have the worst quarterback rating. out of all the
Currently
games, or out of all the teams.
since 2000 and when did he retire? 16. Since
Manning?
2016, we've had the worst quarterback situation,
What
and
you
I
got?
called it when he retired too. I'm like, here we go. We're going back to when John Elway retired. We had nothing, no
What,
quarterback forever.
What's your record this season?
4-6. 4-6, but
You
since
could well see that's the thing is you could who's your backup?
since we are recording this on a Sunday, there are currently games going on
There
now.
are currently games going on now.
So it could totally change to now 5-8.
Oh, nice! You won.
Yeah, we beat the Panthers.
Nice. We beat.
Patriots.
Yeah. We made Cam Newton look
Get
like a
benched. He got benched for that
Yep.
game, which is
And
hilarious. Because he's the same
the-
guy who's like, if you look good, you play good, and if you play good,
Yeah.
they pay good.
But he's also the.
Ain't working, man.
Like, it's funny because you watch their second string come out, and he was playing with fire and
Steichen?
explosiveness. He just didn't like. It seemed like he jumped a lot of it. Like he tried to get the pass there too fast, or like put a little too much behind it to get the ball there.
Yeah.
Rather than making it something that is more easily catchable, rather than just a straight bullet right between your wide receiver's hands.
You got to make it easy for your receiver. Put it ahead of them. Make them go for it. Because if they go for it, there could be the only one who can
and
go for it.
they could, they got the momentum, swing up around and keep running. So the interesting thing about the LA game is I believe it was double. They basically ran 2 tight ends rather than 1 tight end for like double the amount of plays as they did with the single tight end and more receivers. And
What's their tight ends again?
so they got Tyler Higbee and something Everett, I want to say.
Ross Everett.
81. He's an animal. And the thing is they switch it up so much to the point where they're helping block on strong sides for like runs, or like giving Jared Goff like additional time so that if there's like an offensive or like a defensive end that's coming at them, they can just block them off real easy.
We'll just
and that's
sacrifice one
allowing-
tight end for a block.
Yeah, that's allowing us to get good looks and have Cooper Kupp have such a high rating
Cooper Kupp.
of his receiving this year. We kind of shut down in the second half. We scored pretty much everything in the first, and then we shut down.
I
in the
just don't
second.
know what happened to the Rams after they went to the Super Bowl that one year, and they just kind of fell over themselves the last 2.
I was gonna say I think it's
2
been
seasons?
the last 1 or 2.
Yeah. Same with the Chargers. They go 11-5 that one season, and look at them now. Bottom of the division, 2 and something. Tanking hard.
Which is awful because
Herbert?
Justin Herbert.
Justin Schoibert?
It seemed like Fitzmagic all over again, but with a young quarterback. Like, just some guy that, like, people who know the sport know, but, like, people who don't look at it, or who are only interested in the stars know. When Ryan Fitzpatrick and, like, Gardner Minshew came out and they just started winning football games for their teams.
Yeah.
And how many people were just super
Minshew
behind
magic.
it. Oh, yeah.
I want Ryan Fitzpatrick to win a Super Bowl.
I
so
want
bad.
Ryan Fitzpatrick to win a Super Bowl, too. He's been an incredible mentor to this newest generation of QBs, and especially being...
He's the Harvard man. He's considered the smartest brain in football just because he comes out of Harvard, which is hilarious. I go to Harvard, but I'm going to go... I got a shot to play football.
I'm going to bash my dome in so many times and break so many bones. That way I can
waste this Harvard League brain.
Ivy League.
Ivy League.
But I would love to see Fitzmagic win. I heard Gardner Minshew had to go and actually beg. Not that he had to beg, but he went and basically begged to
start.
For his position back. I don't know who Jacksonville's quarterback is right now, but I don't believe Jacksonville's doing very good this year.
No, they're 2 and something.
Dear Lord,
they're 3 and something actually.
At least Gardner did something for him. It wasn't. I don't think it was entirely much better, but
Jacksonville has always had a terrible coaching problem. Same with the Bengals, where it's like no one seems to know what the fuck they're doing.
Yep.
They're just, I'm a coach, and the team never wins anything. Like they get good players.
Why do you think Joe Burrow got hurt?
It's exactly. Now that's a line that can't block.
Yeah.
That's a line that needs to be all fired, and you just bring in new people. Because that guy might be out. If you want
your position, you need to fucking earn it.
Well, shit, he might be out for a while now because it was ACL, MCL. His whole knee pretty much exploded. And he's a rookie.
Yeah.
Looks like your career might be cut short, my guy, because
Seriously.
people don't know how to do their job. You're fucked up.
But that's the terrifying.
You got him wrecked.
That's the terrifying thing in terms of defenses that I've noticed between collegiate and pro. Like professional defenses,
they'll eat you up.
Fuck you up.
Look
and
at Khalil Mack.
Joke. Yeah.
Listen to listen to both their sound bites. It's amazing because they will eat you up.
Yeah. Like Aaron Donald, I believe, has been double teamed, if not triple teamed, so much this season. And I know I saw a stat on it at like an early game, and it was a ridiculously high number of double teams. Mm-hmm. And he hadn't quite hit the triple digits for triple teams, but like having a center, a guard, and a tackle like just on you because you're that much of a threat. Like,
well, he's got the same problem J.J. Watt has. He gets double teamed every game because that's the only way they can stop him.
And they're holding like crazy.
Exactly, because they can't stop him any other way than to put 2 people on him. Because it's like, he's just too strong. We have to. You
see the freaking pythons crawling out of that dude's shoulders?
It's
terrifying.
The goddamn horses for legs he has.
The Clydesdales?
There we go. Thank you. I couldn't think of the horse. The Clydesdales.
But just like, compared to collegiate defenses, which...
Ain't nothing.
So I watched a bunch of collegiate games these last 2 days, waiting for today's for the NFL games.
Some pros foosballs.
And dude, the defenses that some of these teams are rocking is just unbearable to watch.
Did you see that LSU in Florida game?
No.
LSU's defense is weak.
I watched North Carolina and...
the Tar Heels and someone else?
Yeah.
Tar Heels in the fucking...
Because I'm pretty sure the Tar Heels were number 17.
No, I'm thinking Iowa State. Wrong team. Because Michigan and Iowa State played. Or Ball State played. And Michigan...
Oh, dude. Okay, so did you see that last play?
Yeah.
That's the one
that didn't count. They were doing all that.
They didn't down it, and half the teams are rushing out on
the band's on the field.
Yeah.
The band is on the field.
Even the coach steps out, and he's like, come on, let's go.
Well, they blew the whistle at the end, but I guess that didn't count.
Yeah, because there was a flag.
Well, no, it was...
forward pass.
Was it a forward pass?
Yeah.
Because he was technically down when the defender jumped on the ball. When it was on the ground, he was laying on it.
Yeah, but he didn't have control of that.
No, but when you're a defender and you're jumping on that in college, that's downed.
Oh, wow.
Because in college, there's some rules that are completely different in the pros, like their catch, you only need 1 foot in bounds, and that's a catch.
Right.
So in pro, you need 2 feet down for it to call a catch.
Good.
So there's like small things that are different.
Just little adjustments here and there.
When you get a first down in college football, the clock stops. Dude, in pros, it doesn't stop.
Yeah.
Anytime you get a first down, it
doesn't.
stops. Yeah, so there's like small things that are kind of dumb.
I knew that there were like little adjustments here and there, but I didn't realize it was like that.
Well, and with the pros, you could be on the ground, but if you're not touched, you can get up and just
Yeah, you
leave.
can just
But in
keep
college, if you're the defender and as soon as you jump on that, ball's down. It's weird. It's dumb. Because it's like, no, man, that's still a live ball. Michigan State technically should have won that game. It's not my fault you can't hold on to the ball. Das ball. Look at this dog.
It was definitely rough. A lot of teams did really well in terms of scoring against just what seemed like non-existent defenses. Oh, was it? I think it was North Carolina versus Miami. Now that I'm thinking about it,
Miami.
and Miami just and
Hurricane?
Miami just shit the bed. It was bad.
They get blown out.
North Carolina kicked the shit out of them.
And we're going to talk about how the Dolphins have a winning record this year.
So I've seen some polls, and there's been a lot of people who want the coach of the year to be the coach of the Dolphins because they're having a hell of a year, and it's actually kind of crazy. I haven't seen a single Dolphins game all season.
If I'm going to give the coach of the year to anyone, it's the Browns. Can we talk about how the Browns are 9-3 this year and going into the playoffs?
That's
Browns
fair.
are
Browns
9-3.
The Browns have been shit for God knows how long.
They're
Well,
second
and
in their
it's-
division only because Pittsburgh was undefeated until last weekend.
But at the same time, they Baker came back with knowing he's like, this is my last. Like if I don't turn this season around, or if I don't do well this season, I'm not playing in the NFL anymore because of how badly he fucked up initially.
Well, and he's got his third year? Yeah, his last year for his contract. But the coaches, that's a new coach because Baker got his other coach fired last year.
Did he?
I think so. I think that's how that went.
What an animal.
It was, I don't know, maybe. We'll have to fact check that later. But I think the Browns need a Coach of the Year award because to get to 9-3 after being pretty much the laughing stock for years.
Seriously.
The world's falling apart because the Browns made
The
it to
Jets are just taking a dive.
I think New York needs to vote.
On which team they want to keep.
Kick the Jets out and keep the Giants.
Yeah.
Rebrand the Jets as a different team in a different
Where do you
state.
think, if that was the case, where would the Jets need to go? And what would you switch the team name to?
Well, they can still be the Jets. They can keep
You
the
wanna keep
history
the
of the
Jets?
Jets.
Okay.
They would just need. I would feel they need to be moved to a different state. Kind of like they would need to be moved to. I would say Vegas, but they already got the Raiders, which is fine.
And LA has both the Chargers and the Rams.
Because the next biggest city. See, because
Because
they don't have one.
Washington State doesn't have one, but because of the Washington football team, I could see why that would be.
Well, I guess
misconstrued.
I guess you could do the Washington State. You could do.
Washington State Jets.
See, and it's so weird. It's just like when I go to create a team on Madden and I got to pick a state. It's like, well, shit, I don't know what
Yeah, it's
state
like,
this
I don't
would
wanna-
be.
I don't want to keep this from. I don't know.
Well, because it's like most of the teams now, those are perfect states for them to be in.
Yeah.
For some reason, it just fits.
Just works.
Alabama, put the Jets in Alabama.
Who is
Alabama doesn't have a pro team.
Yeah, Jacksonville, Florida would probably be the closest thing.
Well, Jacksonville's already got the Jags.
Yeah. I'm trying
The
to
Alabama Jets. The Bama Jets.
Alabama Jets.
Well, what's their capital? Montgomery? Montgomery
it?
Jets? I don't know.
I couldn't tell you. I don't actually know what the capital of Alabama is.
We'll watch
but
a video of some
with
people naming the
With
capitals.
the unlimited amount of technology that we have at our fingertips.
You do the Texas Jets. But then that would give Texas 3 teams.
It is Montgomery.
Is it?
Congratulations.
Nice. Look at that. Sometimes these brain cells work. Well, actually, no. The NFL has been trying to get teams international.
Ugh, no, thank you.
They've been doing a lot of games in London.
Yeah, but to have both teams fly out like that and have to like get used to the different time zone and
Well, it
like
would just be like
readjust their-
FIFA. It would make more sense about your world championship if it includes more of the world. You can't be, we're the Super Bowl world champions.
So is that what we're actually trying to accomplish then?
The NFL is trying to push
Like
an expansion.
make it like freaking
They've got
soccer like the World Cup.
I think they want to. If they're pushing for international games because they have games in Mexico and they have games in London where they set up soccer fields into football fields.
They're going the wrong way about it in football. You would need to do like each like major city in each country gets
Well,
like a
you'd have to do that if
be like
if you
the
can't.
European League versus the American League, and then that would be your world champs. That
Well,
wouldn't
no,
even
then
be
you could
fair.
you could just
You'd
change
have
the
to-
NFC and the AFC. AFC American Football Conference, and then the NFC is the you can change it to the WFC World Football Conference.
I still feel like initially, unless you have like true, because like the kids from college that are of that level would immediately want to go into the NFL anyways because that's what they know.
Yeah.
And then you'd have the second rates that are going to the European League. And I'm not saying that there wouldn't be some great underdog stories there, but I would say that overall, initially, the American Football League would be like have more talent.
Well, that's why you could keep it all as one league. You just separate it in the two conferences like we already have it. But the AFC is just all 32 teams that we already have.
Yeah.
So then the world would just need to fill up 32 other teams as well.
Yeah.
And then it can be like it
But
is now.
Yeah, but
just
then would they do the Super Bowl
at the end? Yeah.
Oh, that's what I'm saying. Is the Americans 16 out of those 32 teams would be better than 28 out of the 32 in the European because of the second-rate talent.
But if you broaden the spectrum around the world for the sport, you get better choice. Because rugby players are picked a lot in NFL now for
That's
running
fair.
back.
Yeah.
So rugby is a good sport. Plus soccer for kickers at least.
Just gonna say,
And
if you got that leg on you.
and special team returners. So like there's options depending on how bad they want to play or if the pay is good enough to leave their sport.
Yeah.
But I feel like the AFC would definitely be the American Football League would be winning for a while.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it would
until
still be
became more
cool.
integrated.
Yeah, but it would still be cool to be like, hey, here's the top American football team, and then here's the top world football team. Because that would be wild.
Oh yeah.
You
Imagine
would
having
literally
that
be the world champion because you are out of
You beat out of 64 teams. You guys are it.
which is countries, states, what have you. That's what I feel so crazy about the FIFA World Cup. You're the best goddamn soccer team
Out of 100.
in the world. The elite of the elite.
Well, I guess that's why it would be such an honor to be
in it.
well and to be the best player like Messi.
Oh yeah. Well then yeah, the game check probably just for even if you lost the World Cup, the game check alone being
would
in
be-
that.
It would have to be massive.
So it's like, oh man. That'd be wild. It's like you have a shot to be the best in the world. Let me emphasize world.
Well, it's not like we couldn't facilitate that many games either because we have a ton of college teams.
Exactly. Well, and then again, world teams can look into America for college, just like they do now.
I was gonna say,
And
and
it's
then
just
we could look into things like Australia and all that. shit for
exactly. It's
college.
just who wants to pay
play for
the bigger
us.
contract.
Hey, you big scary Russian son of a bitch. get over here.
Exactly. You've been out there in the coal mines in
That would be
Serbia.
terrifying. You just sign a dude to a 1-year contract as a linebacker. He's starting. Nobody's ever heard of him, and it's just because he's 6'8" and he's built like freaking Hulk.
His name's too long to put on a jersey.
I guess he'd be more of a defensive end.
No, he'd be a lineman where he just kind of stands there in the way and just grabs him.
Pushes people away.
I will break
He'd be
you.
the left tackle, and he'd just put his hands on you, and you wouldn't be able to escape.
Well, and that's when the games would get really scary because now
That would
you're
be
dipping
awful.
into the gene pools around the world, so you're getting unnaturally huge people from like Mongolia
But
or some
that's-
shit.
That's why you see things like J.J. Watt. Like, that man is terrifying. That man is huge.
What is he at, in Nebraska or Wisconsin or some shit?
I couldn't tell you.
I
All
don't
I know
know.
is he's got two brothers that play defense for the Steelers, and they're pretty big too.
Yeah.
You know, they got some big genes in them. But if you find somebody that makes those guys look normal, who can accomplish the same athletic capabilities that they can,
Ooh.
we're in trouble.
It's like all of a sudden the whole field's filled with different J.J. Watts of all different positions.
Yeah. They're all at least 6'2". Like that's the new 5.
6'2" is the shortest.
That's your center at 6'2". Your quarterback's 6'5", just lanky as shit, but he's just cut as a brick.
Your halfbacks are lowest weight at 250.
Just a solid block of muscle.
Yeah,
running through.
body fat is 2%.
It'd be terrifying.
Yeah, you look like an experiment.
If that is what
Super
happens
soldier.
in the future, thank God I did not pursue football as a pastime. I'm average big. Like I'm big for a lot of people, but I'm average size when it comes to being bigger. So I'm not like by any stretch of the imagination like strong.
Yeah.
Most people.
Would it be considered performance enhancing drugs if everyone does it? Is it enhancing you if everyone's enhanced?
But I don't think it would cut that far back into the genetic capability of it. Yeah, that's what we're talking about, right?
Yeah,
is having
because
superior genes going through the NFL.
Yeah, just being naturally gifted from the get-go. But then there's still those people who feel necessary to enhance what they already have.
Oh, and I see what you're saying.
It's like, why would you need that? Look at you, you're a goddamn freak as it is.
Yeah, that's fair. But even then, if the current players wanted to try and like keep up with that and use HGH themselves. Like, one, why would you? Because you're just shortening your career anyway.
Yeah.
And it's not going to work out for you in the end. Like, yeah, you might be able to physically assault somebody so bad that they have to end their career. And if you want to do that and you're a psychopath, then sure. But
physically assault someone?
Yeah. And just in terms of, like, tackling them, like, you go and you just shatter their entire leg. Like, they'll never be able to walk again no matter what happens.
See, now we're just talking about Blitz the League.
But that's but that's what I'm saying is, like, why would you want to do that? Why
would
you want to put yourself to the point where that's what the games become for you rather than enjoying it and, like, having good sportsmanship?
Exactly. Yeah, you're just pushing your body to the utmost.
I don't think there's any room for that type of stuff in sports in general.
There shouldn't. No drugs, except for weed.
Yeah. A lot of the commissioners have been coming out and saying like that they're no longer going to be testing for it on their in their leagues like NFL, NBA.
Which is good because like MMA fighters prove it's a perfect way for your body to recoup after just getting beat up on.
Just getting wrecked. Granted, however long in between fights, 32 weeks or whatever in between fights helps too, and then you just sit there and train and recoup.
Well, then we'll use the football players. You only got a week. You get your body ready.
And NHL players too. I think
even shorter than that. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
5 days. 4 days.
If you were to go from start to finish, a perfect season, you never lose a game. You're playing 96 games over the course of almost 5 months.
Damn, it's a long ass hockey, and that's what 3 games a week.
Yeah, on average.
Ooh.
Sometimes 4, sometimes 2, but yeah. If you got a packed schedule where you got to crank out like, hey, best of 7, quick conference bout between you guys. Let's see who wins them. Just bam, bam, bam.
And that's just football on ice.
And then later in the season they switch to the other home team, but they do the same thing. Hey, best of we'll play 4 rounds real quick and we'll see who's better out of you guys.
Best of 4
in the standings.
Yeah, who's on top of their division? We'll find out with this now.
It's great. I love the NHL, and those are big dudes too. Some of them.
Well, and they're doing it on ice.
Yeah.
So you got to have better footwork than just football players running on grass.
100%.
So that's why I feel
you have to have a crazy amount of control over like how the puck positions itself. There's really only a few ways you can move a football. You can move a puck 100 different ways.
Well, that body, you got to use your body control to keep the puck with you, and then using your stick properly to get the maximum fucking hit.
Or like when I don't know how many of the ones you've seen where people are doing the shootouts, like the professional shootouts, and they're pulling out all the crazy one-on-one tricks that they have, where they flip it up onto the thing and then they throw the whole stick into the goal line, and it still counts because the puck made it. It's just like, how the fuck?
How's that legal? How did you practice that?
I will say the really cool thing that I've always enjoyed about hockey is fighting has been allowed since day one.
Oh, yeah.
The very first hockey game, a fight broke out and the refs are just like, okay, that's just part of the game.
They understand that it's just gonna keep escalating if they don't get it out right now. Let them just
and they're
beat
on
each other.
each other's asses for a decent amount of time, before shift ends, right?
Yeah.
You're out there for 3-4 minutes and you switch out with somebody else who isn't gassed, but you're usually fighting up against the same guy all night. You're going to get pissed off at each other for cutting each other off and running each other into the walls and all that.
Mm-hmm. That's why I don't know why they don't like it in the NFL. I mean, you let people celebrate, that would boil anyone's blood because you're pretty much letting them taunt you openly.
Exactly.
So it's like, let me get a couple shots on this guy because we're already hitting each other.
Exactly.
Anyway, it's just like hockey. I'm already checking you into the wall.
Well, it's got to be, for me, it's got to be like, I think a little bit more like fisticuffs like they do too. Like you can't just be like, yo, what the fuck? And they just start swinging on a guy. Like they got to, go out there, either take their helmets off or like,
that's true.
Unbuckle them so that they have the chance to fall off, grab each other by the jerseys and then just sit there and start hitting each other a few times before the refs come in and break it up.
Well, I guess it's harder to fight on ice too, so they go until someone either falls down or gets knocked out.
Whereas football would be like, you get a good grip and a good shot, somebody's out in like 2 or 3.
Yeah, because you're standing there, so you're cleated into the ground.
Yeah, you'd have to have like a ref just like right there ready to just...
He's about to get his shit wrecked right now. Bam.
You got a couple refs low around the waist to pull them off, like when they're...
As soon as he hits him, grabbing him.
Yep. They get 2 shots of chop. Like, as soon as they get their 2 shots, then we pull them away.
I give you a left and a right.
That's probably why they don't do it, is because it would be way too just... It'd be like a weird version of MMA mixed with football.
Well, and then how much people are on the teams as well. And like hockey, you have that barrier.
Exactly.
Like they're blocked off from the ice. Football,
they can get to you, but
it takes them a hot minute.
Yeah, they gotta want it.
But football, everyone just starts running. It's like, well, now you have 54 people on both sides just on the field.
Yep.
There's
And
a
they're
lot of
all
people.
trying to like be a part of the solution when
They're all the problem.
It's like just one person jumped out. Like, I honestly though would love to see like a college game where it like half the teams just come to straight brawls. Not even just like one guy, like 2 guys get upset with each other, or like sparks some shoving from some other guys. Like I want the safeties in it. I want D-line, O-line. Obviously, the quarterback shouldn't be in it.
I want them to set up a what is that?
Like a halftime show where they just kick the
What's
shit
that
out of each
drill
other?
called? The bull in the center
Alley?
or whatever?
The what?
The bull in the middle or whatever. Anyway, I want people
where the football's in the middle and you got to get up and
get it. Yeah.
pick it up and then the other one tries to tackle you.
Yeah, I guess. Well, I just want them to fight in a circle. Really.
That's fair.
Just all the football teams get one person from their team, one person from the other team. They surround them, keep the refs out, and they just fight. Those 2 represent the team.
Oh, kind of like in what's that one movie about Michael Orr?
Oh, Blindside?
Yeah. Just like that. Just
Yeah.
put him against their strongest offensive lineman, like that. But that's what it would be like. I was like, all right, get our left tackles. Up
Exactly.
here.
He's our
And
best
just-
guy right now. Go
yeah.
fight him. That'd be sweet. Because then it's like, you guys want to get your differences out. You hate each other. Let's see your best fighters.
Well, that's the thing.
Fight at
is
halftime.
It would be weird. They just hire a mixed martial artist to fill the role. So they're just sitting there landing.
Actually, no, the
knockout
mascots.
punches.
The mascots are actually trained MMA fighters that at halftime, they're the ones that go out and
Would have
fight.
to be regulated then, because if you have like the really big bobbly head ones and they like sitting there boxing, like you wouldn't, compared to one that's that you got to wear, it's a little bit closer to your actual face, or like a blow up one where somebody throws a punch, they could still hit you because it's just a thin piece of cloth.
They're just punching through the airbag,
Yeah.
essentially.
That would be terrifying.
I'd watch the mascots fights.
I'd watch mascot fights.
Mascot fight.
Would you watch a
fight.
mascot fight? Let us know down below in the comments section. And if you haven't already and enjoying what you're listening to, we can go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Make sure to turn on the bell for notifications.
Turn that bell on. It'll tell you when we put stuff out. And it'll keep you up to date. Follow on our social medias as well.
Yep.
But this has been Captain Daddy.
Monkey Paws.
And we're going to say goodbye. Goodbye.
Bye.